Hello, SOM, and welcome to our August installment of Cooking with Friends. I'd like to take a minute and introduce our guests for the day. We have Joslyn Krismer on our, this is our Director of Educational Affairs, and she will be here this evening giving us a tutorial on a fantastic, easy to make plant-based pasta dish. On our bar this evening, I have our favorite brother-sister combo, Mike Burness and Judy Burness. They had a big family celebration this weekend, and they had a lemon martini that was their signature cocktail for the weekend, and it was a huge hit. So they're going to share the recipe with us on that. Chase had a conflict this evening, so she's going to show us how to make a proper traditional martini at a later date. And I had asked Joslyn if she would join us this evening because it is that time of the year where it's so hot outside and sometimes meals feel so heavy. So I personally have a couple of plant-based recipes that I like to incorporate in my summer cooking. Joslyn actually is plant-based year-round, so she has a bunch of wonderful recipes. So I thought maybe she could share with us one of her classics and easy, and just one of her go-tos. We do have a few other guests with us here this evening. We have Ron on video. We've got Sean who will be taking questions. So if you have any questions as we're going along, please post them in chat, and Sean will get that out to us. And then we have Mari on the master board controlling this webinar. So I think we'll kick off with our food portion. So let's let Joslyn tear into this fantastic plant-based meal.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, like out of the house. I put lipstick on and earrings. Like, it was so exciting. And you know, I'm gonna try to make this look really professional, but really when I cook, I just kind of freestyle it. And this is just one of my family's like go-to dishes. As you'll see, it can be really versatile. You can use all different kinds of vegetables in it. You can even make it with meat in it, or you can make it fully vegan. So as we walk through, I'll kind of show you some of those ideas. Just to kind of give you a quick overview of the ingredients. So it starts really basic with just penne pasta. You can also use like the rigatoni pasta too, if you prefer that. Really any pasta works fine, but I like how the penne kind of holds up in this one. For this version of it, I'm gonna use broccoli. The saucy portion of this pasta involves just onion, garlic, and olive oil, and some Italian seasoning. So it's really easy to put together. It all comes together in the end, and then it really shines when you garnish it up. So pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, and lemons for garnish just make it really, really yummy. So to start off, the first thing you do is just like set a pot of water to boil. As with a lot of different recipes. Does this have salt in it yet?
It does.
Oh, awesome. Already salted water. So professional. So we're just gonna add our pasta in here as one would. So just whole box. Go for it. Okay, so that's gonna go for 11 minutes, Amy,
Yes.
if you'll watch that. So I usually just read the box and it says whatever al dente is, and then I usually add a minute. I like it to have just a little bit softer than al dente, but of course just cook it to whatever firmness you like your pasta. And then the first thing you want to do is cook your pine nuts. It's really the last thing that goes on the pasta, but you want to cook it in a dry pan. So rather than have to clean out a pan, I just go ahead and do it at the beginning. So we'll just go ahead and toast these guys up. It just takes a few minutes if your burner's hot, which I think mine should be good. You'll know because they start smelling really good and they start looking a little brown. So just a little toasty. You see them? Am I doing it right, Lauren? I love to add the pine nuts on. The kids leave it off. So, you can, if you like them, use them. If not, no big deal. Just adds that extra little bit of crunch and a lot of yummy toasted flavor. One thing I can also mention is that with this pasta, you can always add like a baked chicken or a grilled chicken. I think a grilled shrimp would be good. Amy mentioned that. Or to make it totally vegan, you can just leave the cheese off at the end. So everything else is vegan. So So those look pretty good. They might take a few more minutes to get toasty, but the thing about pine nuts is that like 1 second they're not toasty and then the next second they go black. So you've got to like kind of keep an eye on them and make sure that you don't overdo it too quickly. So just keep moving them around until they start smelling good. Okay, so I think those are gonna be fine. So then we'll just go ahead and start chopping up our onions and stuff for the sauce. Again, I'm not a professional chef, so don't at me about my onion cutting techniques. And I said in the recipe, half an onion, which is kind of silly, but you know in Texas we get these huge onions, and sometimes I think if you do the whole one, it's just too much. But really, if you get the small ones, you can do a whole one. You know, just kind of whatever you like, you'll figure out what you like. When I was doing a whole big onion in here, my family, there was always like a whole bunch of onions left at the bottom of the pasta, so I just started cutting it back to about half. And I like to get them pretty small.
So did you say that you have or have not ever made this with tofu?
I have not made it with tofu, but I like that idea. You know, like a marinated grilled tofu or something would probably be really good.
Okay, so what would your marinade be? If you were gonna add a tofu in on this, how would you marinate it? Because I'm not a tofu guru.
Well, a lot of people use just like a teriyaki marinade or really any kind of marinade that you use on meat. You can use for tofu. And so you just would get like a firm tofu and then you would put it in, you know, like a Ziploc baggie or something with your marinade and just let it sit in the fridge and it just soaks in those flavors. You know, tofu doesn't really have much of a flavor by itself, so it takes on the flavor of whatever you put with it.
And you would also probably cook it in this pan, or would you put it in the oven, or?
Yeah, so you can grill tofu or you can do it on like a skillet.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can even bake it.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Sure.
What about if you were going to add a legume? Could you do, or maybe could you do chickpeas? What would a chickpea be like in this dish?
Yeah, so chickpeas would be great in it. I've also used a lot of other vegetables like just a chopped asparagus, mushrooms, any kind of vegetables that your family likes. And then, you know, I'm gonna show you with the broccoli, you kind of mush it up. So you probably wouldn't want to do that with the other veggies. You would just leave them diced.
Okay.
And then just cook them up in the pan until they got, you know, cooked through the way that you like them and go for it. Okay, so we good on these? I think these look great. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we're just gonna put these aside for later. Okay, so then to get the sauce going, you're gonna put on about medium-high heat. And you want to use about a 1/4 cup or so of olive oil. It kind of depends too on like how much veggies you have. Again, you want the olive oil to be, it's going to serve sort of as like your sauce. So a lot of people say you don't cook extra virgin olive oil, but because it's sort of the main sauce, I like the taste of the extra virgin in this recipe. So this is going to be, it's a really simple sauce base, and I use it, like I said, with all different kinds of vegetables. So you want to do about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I was telling Amy I never measure it, but it's such a pretty little measuring cup and it looks so professional, so I'm going to go for it. And I'm actually going to do a little bit more because I want to make sure we get our broccoli coated. And this is a big skillet too, which I love. Pay more attention. Okay, so then we're just going to put our onions in here. Salt it up. And then I have this little Italian seasoning blend. If you're gonna use the dry herbs, I go ahead and put them in at this point. It kind of like infuses the olive oil with all these flavors. So that's how I think about the onion too. It's really, I mean, I'm gonna use the onions in the dish, but it also just kind of makes that oil a little bit more flavorful. So just wanna get those onions going. And then after we start getting these cooked up, we'll add in the garlic. So I'm always worried about burning the garlic.
Yeah.
That's never great. Although this is the frozen kind, so maybe we should go
Well,
ahead and
I think
have it.
so I brought this because this is,
Yeah.
I absolutely can't stand peeling garlic. That's like
Exactly.
the worst thing that I look forward to cooking, but garlic's not my friend. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen this Dorit frozen garlic. One little tub, one little insert is actually the equivalent of a garlic. So you just pull it out of the freezer, how many you want,
Yeah, let's do 2.
pop. They're not necessarily cooperating because they're not quite
All the
as
way
frozen
frozen,
as you
yeah.
want it to be.
Yes.
But they've
So
got
good.
these in, they've got garlic, ginger, and basil, and these are lifesavers. No cutting, no chopping, just
Pop them and go.
pop and go.
Which I love because I'm the same as you. I hate messing with
Yeah,
garlic.
garlic's not my.
Dr. Flynn sent you a comment.
Oh.
It's like, on your way home, drop off Joslyn's dish and 2 martinis. Shaken, not
This is a DoorDash now.
Yes.
We're gonna have to charge for the delivery fee though. Doesn't it smell good, you guys? I just
Smells
love
great.
onion and garlic. So we're just cooking this up for a little bit of time, and now while this is cooking, I'll turn it down just a touch.
Okay. Prescott also sent a question. He wants to know what the garlic was called.
Oh yeah.
It's Dorit. Dorot. And like I said, you can find it. I know I found it at Central Market. Trader Joe's has it. HEB has it. I'm sure at this point most of the main grocery stores have it. In the frozen section, usually located by the frozen vegetables. Life changer.
I love it. Mitzi says that you can also get it at Target.
Oh, well, there
Ah,
you
there
go.
you go.
So
Perfect.
everybody's got them. If they have a frozen section, they've got Dorit.
Another little trick you can use with this sauce that I do is use some of the starchy pasta water. And it just kind of makes your sauce sort of nicely coat the pasta. So I'll just go in, grab a little 1/4 of a cup, a little hot. Pour it in there. And then just let it reduce down. Okay, and this part is really almost done. Okay, so the other kind of component to this dish is the vegetable. In this case, we're using broccoli. And when I use the broccoli, I like to kind of use it almost like a pesto. So I'll go ahead and cook the broccoli however you can. So in this case, we had frozen broccoli. So we just did the steaming technique and just steamed it up and then let it get soft. And then you just kind of take your fork, or if you need to kind of break down the stems a little bit more, you can use a fork and a knife. You can even try like with a potato masher. And you just want to get it kind of mashed up so that it's just like in little chunks. And so rather than having just big florets throughout your pasta dish, you have it more like, kind of more like a pesto sauce that just kind of coats throughout the whole pasta. And I really like that, especially when working with broccoli. So once you get that, I also like to season my ingredients as I go. So you want to go ahead and add a little salt and pepper to this. And then how much time do we have on our pasta, Amy?
Oh, we have a minute.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna work out so perfectly.
Like
Y'all-
I planned it.
I mean, you thought we planned it. You just
So
thought we did a walkthrough or
I want to
something.
ask you this: Do you have a plant-based cookbook that you love that
You
you,
know-
could recommend?
Oh gosh. I can send you some links. I
Okay.
have several that I go to, but I don't know if I could pull out like the author off the top
Okay.
of my head. So, but I'll be happy to share
Okay.
the ones that I have.
Yeah.
And in fact, this one was inspired by one in a vegetarian cookbook that I have.
Okay.
So.
There's a magazine called Knives and Forks, which
Oh.
is awesome,
And it's all plant-based.
and it's amazing.
Oh.
Nice. All right, so we got the olive oil part done.
Okay.
We're about to drain the pasta.
Now, do you want to take a minute to pull everything together and plate it, or do you want to show us how to do that and we swing over for
I'll
cocktail?
show you one thing, and then we'll swing over to the cocktail,
Okay.
and then we'll come back and garnish it up.
Perfect.
How's that sound? Okay.
Sounds great.
Great. So let's go ahead and drain that. If you would, please, ma'am.
Do you normally have help at home cooking?
I do enlist my kids, and they are pretty good helpers, but not always, of course. My daughter's really gotten into baking during the pandemic. So she's been experimenting with a lot of cupcakes and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so really, this is exactly how I do it at home. I put the pasta right back in the bowl, right back in the pot, and then I just take my sauce, pour it over. Okay, and then I put my broccoli straight up in there, or whatever vegetable you're using, even if it's mushrooms, asparagus, or grilled chicken. Right in. And then you're just gonna stir it all up together until it all gets nice and coated. Season it with a little salt and pepper, and then we'll plate it and we'll come back in a second.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think that sounds great. So we'll come back and visit Joslyn in just a second, but right now let's move over to our lemon martini and find out how to make that.
So our sister and her husband came to visit this weekend, and my sister had told me during the week that she wanted us to get some ingredients to be ready to make these delicious lemon martinis. So the recipe is actually really easy and easy to remember because it's equal parts of 5 things. So it's equal parts orange juice, lime juice, lemon vodka, limoncello, and orange liqueur. So equal parts, and put it in there. We got this Deep Eddy lemon vodka, and our sister loved it so much that we did not have any left today, so we had to order from Drizzly. That's for you, Prescott. And so Mike's gonna go ahead and make that for a group, but you can also make it in a shaker. So we put this in a shaker already. It's also good for dancing. We dance in our kitchen.
Or shaking cocktails.
Just about anything.
Anytime.
I have a cocktail joke. So, how do you avoid touching your face during coronavirus times? You have a drink in each hand.
That's a good one.
Sounds like a good solution.
So this is what it looks like, and Mike's gonna make the big one. As Mike would say, this is if you're drinking alone. This is if you've got friends over.
Well, that could be for 2.
So what the other trick is to keep all of this in the freezer. If you have all your alcohol in the freezer and it's ice cold, then it's even tastes better when you're making this, and it doesn't take, you don't have to put any ice cubes in it, but it should be ice cold. So that's why doing it in the shaker or having this come right out of the freezer and pouring it is delicious. And I think that's about it. We are we're good and easy to go here. Cheers.
Okay, so we're ready to finish up the pasta. I put it on this beautiful plate, which normally I would just have my family just digging it straight out of the pot, obviously, but we're gonna make it look nice for today. And then everybody can just garnish it as they like. I like it with the works. So you wanna start out with, yeah. You wanna start out with some lemon. I actually pulled the seeds out of these lemons, but again, I usually just like leave the seeds in there. My family just has to decide if it's a seed or a pine nut. It's like a mystery. So squirt it all around. The lemon makes it so good, you guys. You can skip the other stuff, but really don't miss out on the lemon. And then I'll serve it with a little wedge on the side too.
We have another question. Again, run through what kind of veggies you made this for with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I made it with, so one version that I do, I'll do like chopped asparagus and mushrooms. And so I don't mash that up. It doesn't really have the nice texture like broccoli does when you mash it, but I'll just leave them diced. But really it's the same technique. So you would just saute it up in a little olive oil and then mix it all together. Let's see, I've tried it with a broccoli and cauliflower blend and then use that as the mash or as the pesto. Really almost any vegetable you can find in your fridge, you can make it with. If you do tomatoes, you can even leave them fresh, or I've done it where I've cooked them up before. Yeah, I just kind of blistered them and it makes almost like a nice tomatoey sauce. So really there's a million variations you can make on this.
Thank you.
Sure. And then lots of pine nuts on there, and then just some grated or shredded Parmesan cheese to top it off. It's good and so easy.
Delicious.
There you go. Group friendly, family friendly, and plant based.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. We also there could be a rosé recommendation to go with this meal. Yeah.
Sure.
I guess
We have the Côte de Rosé, a nice light rosé. To go with a meal that doesn't have meat in it. So that's one option we can do. We have some glasses here. Maybe after our martinis, we'll be sampling a little of this too.
I love it. Okay, so oh, yeah.
We're just
They're just moving over there. I wanted to say, if you have missed a few announcements, we have a few things coming up this week, and early next week we'll have a Facebook Live this Thursday, the 13th. It will be our Anti-Semitism and Medical Ethics Facebook Live. That will be at 1 p.m. on Thursday the 13th. Next Tuesday, August the 18th, we will have a Return to Campus August SOM huddle. So just some discussions around that, so that everybody kind of knows what to expect, forms that need to be filled out. I mean, there'll be a lot of particulars, so everybody will be in the know coming out of that meeting. Anybody else here want to plug anything? We'll have another Facebook Live again next Thursday as well. So we're kind of back on with our Facebook Live. So check out our Facebook MD School Facebook webpage to kind of keep it on track of what's going on there. Do I just say thank you?
Yeah.
Do I just say thank you to everybody? Perfect. I appreciate you guys joining us. Until next time, we would like to say thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
We miss seeing everybody.